Go ahead. I'd like to call the regular scheduled board meeting of the President and Board of Trustees of the Village of Tinley Park, Cook, and Will Counties, held on Tuesday, April 18, 2023, beginning at 6:35 p.m. Everyone, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Trustee Brady?
Present.
Trustee Brennan?
Present.
Trustee Galante? Here. Trustee Mahoney?
Present.
Trustee Mueller?
Here.
Trustee Sullivan?
Here.
President Glatz?
Present. Item number one, I'd like to ask the board for a motion to consider approval of the agenda.
So moved. I'll second it.
Any questions from the board? Madam Clerk, you please call the roll.
Roll call for item one, Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Galante? Yes. Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
The motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Next, we have item number two. Can I have a motion, please, to consider approval of the minutes of the regular village board meeting that was held on March 21st, 2023, and the special village board meeting held on April 11th, 2023?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Any questions from the board? Madam Clerk, you please call the roll.
Roll call for item two, Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Galante? Yes. Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
The motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Next, we have item number three, Trustee Bill Brennan.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to ask the village clerk to conduct a swearing-in ceremony for firefighters Robert Scharnhorst, Daniel Tornga, and Scott Trugstad.
We need a motion.
No.
No action.
I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Illinois, the ordinances of the Village of Tinley Park, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of firefighter according to the best of my ability, so help me God.
Scott Trugstad,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
the ordinances of the Village of Tinley Park,
the ordinances of the Village of Tinley Park,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully discharge
the duties of firefighter
the duties of firefighter
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Okay, I'd like to say one thing here with these three gentlemen, and there's only two here. The one is on duty and actually caught an emergency call, but he had to go on, so unfortunately he's not gonna be able to make that. As they have made their one-year probation, by no means are they new to the fire service. They bring to us a lot of fire service experience, and they've done us an awesome job this past year, and I hope I have them for another 25 plus years. So, guys, thank you very much.
All right.
Does the family want to take a picture? Any family?
I got it.
Okay.
Last one's coming in if we got time.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can we do it?
Do we all go back up there?
I state your name.
I, Daniel Tornga,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
the ordinances of the Village of Tinley Park,
the ordinances of the Village of Tinley Park,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully discharge
the duties of firefighter
the duties of firefighter
according to the best of my ability, so help me God.
according to the best of my ability, so help me God.
Want to do another? Yeah, can we do one more time, thanks? Since he was late, correct? I won't give another speech.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
It's amazing. You got a fire outfit on? You gotta bring in an extinguisher. You're right.
Please shut your cell phone off.
This one you don't want to shut off.
Officer King, can you please remove him?
All right.
That is both sides. Next, we have item number 4. I'll receive presentation of Tinley Park Business Spotlight, Frankie's Restaurante, and Puppy Haberdashery from President Galante and Clerk O'Connor. I will go first. The first one, Frankie's Restaurante has been serving authentic Italian cuisine in Tinley Park for over 14 years. We are pleased to welcome the owners, Frankie and Angela, of Frankie's Restaurante. Angela?
Thank you for having us. Just me, I'm representing Frankie and I. So normally most people don't know me because I'm behind the scenes making the magic happen. Not the cooking though, just the decorating, organizing, all that good stuff. But Frankie is my brother. Our parents and Frankie and I are owners, obviously, of Frankie. So our parents started in 1988 in Oak Lawn, for all of those who are from the south side. Frankie and I grew up on the south side, St. Germain. I went to Mother McCauley, he went to Marist ages ago. And yesterday, actually, was our 15-year anniversary in Tinley Park. So we've been in Tinley Park for 15 years. The moral of the story is, our lease was up this January, and we really had to regroup as a family and kind of say, what do we want from the future? I have a 2.5-year-old. He has a 7 and 9-year-old. Restaurant business is crazy. What we are doing is we're combining as a family. We are closing our Oak Lawn location, but it's been a good round of 35 years. It's a little emotional, get a little teary-eyed here. But we just signed a 10-year lease to stay in Tinley Park. So we are very excited about that. Frankie and I work in Tinley, and then my husband and my father, and my husband loves me dearly if he works with my father every day. So we are all combining together in Tinley. And what we are doing, we are knee-deep in renovations. I've become a foreman in my new life here. So what we did was we knocked down, and make it quick because I know that there's other people, but basically when we opened 15 years ago, one side of the restaurant was a Greek restaurant, the other side was a breakfast place. So we took both storefronts. A year later, we took the storefront after for catering. So what we did finally, we attempted to put a garage door a few years ago to try to open the space up so everyone felt like they were in the restaurant, because those of you who have been there, a lot of people didn't want to sit on the other side. They felt like, I'm not in the restaurant, I want to sit in the restaurant, which it is the restaurant. But, so we knocked down the walls, which looks amazing. It's a huge open space. The bar is going to be centered between both rooms. We have more waiting room. We are also getting rid of our white tablecloths, and being parents of younger children, we don't get out much, but we would like to, and we hope that everyone else that is able to get out. We're rebranding and kind of revamping in the sense that we want it to be more family friendly. We want couples to be like, I want to go get a good meal, but I don't want to feel like I can't take my kid, and I don't want people staring at me because, there's children here. So we're tweaking our menu. We're still keeping all of our awesome homemade pastas and the things that people know and love, but we are bringing some other things, making the music a little bit more upbeat and fun, not just Sinatra like my father loves, but he'll get used to it. But we will still have some good music for everyone. But at the end of the day, we just want to make sure that our new path makes everyone feel like all ages, whether you're, younger, older, younger kids, older kids. But we also want to make sure that people know, because I think the misconception is like it's only the place for a special occasion, and we want people to feel like, I'm driving home from work, call my wife, husband, whomever, let's just go grab dinner at Frankie's with the kids, without the kids, whomever, friends, neighbors. So we've been working really, really hard the last few months, and we're really excited to stay in Tinley for the next decade. We're not retiring anytime soon. Second grade is when I started, and we're still going. But we're very, very excited, and we're thankful that everyone, the Village of Tinley, has been so wonderful and helpful. We've never done a renovation. We've just painted walls and redecorated. So it's a lot. So we're excited. We're making great progress. We're hoping to have a grand reopening the second week of May. So fingers crossed. All of our inspections go well. But most of on behalf of my family, we just want to thank everyone in the community and all the communities, because people from everywhere come over, and thank you, because 35 years is a really, really, really long time. And we've gone through a lot, and we've made it through a lot. So thank you. Thank you for having us, and we hope that everybody feels comfortable to join us in the new year. Okay.
Thank you, Angela.
Thank you.
And I'll just say one thing, Angela, I know you guys are renovating right now. I was there on Friday. You couldn't tell that you were renovating. The restaurant is still perfectly, it's just like being at Frankie's, and there's renovations underway. So don't be afraid of the renovations if you guys are looking to go to Frankie's.
Thank you.
And they know how to throw a party.
Yes, the food. Yes.
Thank you.
Clerk O'Connor?
Before I announce this, thank you for sticking with Tinley Park. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
We really do. You guys have a great restaurant. Love your food.
I don't cook, for the record. That's okay. But I will pass it along to our wonderful team.
Great. Thank you. Puppy Haberdashery provides top-notch grooming services as well as individualized training sessions. Please join us in welcoming Lloyd Williams of Puppy Haberdashery.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lloyd. This is my partner, Zadri, and we are the owners of Puppy Haberdashery. We are a new dog grooming salon in the Tinley Park community. By a show of hands, who in the room owns a dog or knows someone that owns a dog? We got more in common than you think. Okay. We are popular for our creative grooming. That's probably what's gotten us the most attention. So if you see dogs walking around Tinley Park with red ears or looking like a tiger or a giraffe, they more than likely have come to Puppy Haberdashery. It's been an amazing journey over the last 4 years. As I said, Tinley Park is our third location. Our first location is on 79th Street, near Pulaski, close to Midway Airport, for those who know the area. Our second location is in Hyde Park, and now Tinley is our third location. And so we heard you guys were overwhelmed with dogs and not enough dog groomers. And so we came to take some of that load off of the other groomers. And so we also offer training services. Anyone looking for training for their dog, whether it be a puppy or an adult dog, we can always teach an old dog new tricks. Can't always teach an old owner to have new habits. It's never the dog, always the owner. And so we just feel really welcome. So many people from the village have stopped by. So many people in the community have stopped by. So we really, really thank you all for welcoming us in your warm embrace. We're right down the road on 173rd and Oak Park Avenue. If anyone is looking for us, when that red brick building just right across the street from the Chamber of Commerce. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Oh, and if anyone is looking to learn how to do CPR on your dog or first aid, we are also licensed instructors. So you can find that on our website. If anyone here is a dog professional daycare or anything, it'd be great. You never know when you're going to be walking down the street, your dog gets stung by a bee or gets attacked by a coyote or something, and you need, emergency services. So if that's something you're interested in, you can find that information on our website also.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank
Next, we have item 5. I'd like to ask the board for a motion to consider a proclamation recognizing the Fulton Elementary School community for its support of Paws Animal Shelter.
So moved.
I'll second.
Before I read the proclamation, could we please ask Kelly Oswald and the mascot Sparks to the front? Careful, Sparks.
Sparks doesn't have great vision.
I'm going to read the proclamation first, Kelly.
Of course.
The Village of Tinley would like to recognize the Fulton Elementary School community for its support of Paws Animal Shelter. Whereas the Fulton Elementary School parent-teacher organization sought to creatively engage the student population in the naming of Fulton's new mascot. And whereas a penny war was implemented as a fun way for students and staff to vote for potential names with an expected collection of approximately $30 to be donated to the People's Animal Welfare Society of Tinley Park. Whereas the donated amount totaled approximately $1,000, which was collected by the Fulton Student Council and counted by the Fulton Accelerated Math Program. Now therefore be it resolved by the President and Board of Trustees of the Village of Tinley Park, Cook and Will Counties, Illinois, that the Fulton School community be celebrated for its school spirit, teamwork, and support of abandoned, lost, and relinquished pets in the Village of Tinley Park. Approved this 18th day of April 2023, signed by myself, Mayor Michael Glatz, Village President, and attested by the village clerk, Nancy M. O'Connor.
Thank you. So I'm just gonna start off really quick by just saying thank you to the mayor and to the board and to the clerk for this recognition. This whole idea was started when one PTO member, who unfortunately is not here tonight because she is sick, said, wouldn't it be fun if we were able to get a mascot? After our first fundraiser did better than we ever expected or anticipated, we decided to make that idea a reality. And when the time came to name our new friend, we quickly decided we would use this as a fundraiser for a local organization, but we never thought we would raise $1,000. We are honored to be able to donate this money to Paws, and it has been so much fun bringing Sparks into the school. She truly is our girl on fire. I will turn this over to Mrs. Matera, who's our principal, who helped us in this mission, if she has anything else she'd like to share. Thank you.
Thank you to the board, and thank you, Kelly. I am Megan Matera, the principal at Fulton School, and we just couldn't be more excited to have a mascot brought to us by our PTO. And then it really was a true just movement by all our stakeholders, which is so awesome. So our parents and our students and our staff and now the community, all involved in this wonderful endeavor in order to raise some money for a local community, the words on the tip of my tongue, organization, thank you. So just again, super proud of our students and our whole community for bringing us Sparks.
Can we take a photo with Tinley's Sparks?
Yes, would any student council members that are here be able to take a photo with you guys?
Yes.
Okay. Any student
Take a
council
picture with
members?
Tinley's Sparks.
Come on up, everyone.
No, I'll let them. Oh, no, you're.
A lot more people coming to.
Hey, Donna. Dennis, you can come back here, man.
There we go. All right. Nope, you are absolutely fine.
And so then additionally, Kelly, the village attorney and the village board would each like to donate another $250.
And we have that bags of pens.
The bank won't take our check, we'll give you all our quotes. So just let us know who to write the check to.
Sparks.
Yeah, you have mentioned that. Yeah, you had brought that to my attention in the past. Oh, that was fun.
Number 6. Well, do we have to?
There's motion on the table.
Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll for Tinley's Sparks?
Roll call for item 5. Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Galante?
Yes.
Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
That motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Next, we have item number 6, Trustee Bill Brennan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to make a motion to consider adopting Resolution 2023-R-038, designating April 9th through April 15th, 2023 as National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week in the Village of Tinley Park.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Go ahead, Bill.
Thank you, Trustee Mueller. Whether it's a fire, robbery, medical, or another personal emergency, there's always someone to answer our call for help in our moment of need. The Tinley Park 911 Center is staffed 24/7, 365 days a year, and these professionals are also known as telecommunicators, are prepared to answer your emergency. The village appreciates all the dedication and hard work the telecommunicators do every day. This resolution is eligible for adoption, and I will read the resolution after we vote.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? No? Okay.
Whereas emergencies can occur at any time that require police, fire, or emergency medical services, and whereas when an emergency occurs, the prompt response of police officers, firefighters, and paramedics is critical to the protection of life and preservation of property. And whereas the safety of our police officers and firefighters is dependent upon the quality and accuracy of the information obtained from citizens who telephone the Village of Tinley Park Emergency Communications Center. And whereas public safety telecommunicators are first and most critical contact our citizens have with emergency services. And whereas public safety telecommunicators are the single vital link for our police officers and firefighters by monitoring their activities by radio, providing them information, and ensuring their safety. And whereas public safety telecommunicators of the Village of Tinley Park have contributed substantially to the apprehension of criminals, suppression of fires, and treatment of patients. And whereas each dispatcher has exhibited compassion, understanding, and professionalism during the performance of their job in the past year. Now therefore be it resolved that the President and the Board of Trustees of the Village of Tinley Park, Cook and Will Counties, Illinois, declare the week of April 9th through April 15th, 2023 to be National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week in the Village of Tinley Park in honor of the men and women of the diligence and professionalism keep our city and citizens safe. Approved this 18th day of April 2023, signed by Village President Michael W. Glotz and attested by Nancy M. O'Connor, our clerk.
Thank you, Bill. Lisa?
Now, as always, thank you for everybody's support with the 911 center. I have 15 dispatchers that really work hard, and they're really dedicated, so they deserve a little week for themselves, so thank you. Appreciate you guys.
You're welcome.
Appreciate all you do.
Lisa.
Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll for item number 6?
Roll call for item 6, Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Galante?
Yes.
Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
The motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Next, we have item number 7. I'd like to ask the board for a motion to consider appointing Edward Chapin to the position of maintenance technician.
So moved.
Second?
Second?
Thank you. Edward has 6 years of related maintenance, driver, and customer service experience. Most recently, he has worked for a smaller municipality operating heavy equipment and performing skilled labor, including municipal water and street duties. He has experience driving a main snowplow route and holds a Class A CDL. Please consider appointing Edward to the position of maintenance technician effective April 19th, 2023. Edward, would you like to say a couple words?
Just want to say thank you. Appreciate the opportunity and look forward to a long career here.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Appreciate it.
Madam Clerk, you please call the roll.
Roll call for item 7, Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Galante? Yes. Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
That motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Next, we have item number 8. I would like to ask the board for a motion to consider appointing Frank Butler IV to the position of maintenance technician.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Frank has 2 years of related general maintenance and driver experience. He is skilled with operating a variety of heavy equipment and power tools. He holds various safety and national incident management system certificates. He also holds a Class A CDL license. I'd like to ask the board to consider appointing Frank Butler to the position of maintenance technician effective April 19th, 2023. Frank, would you like to say a couple words?
Hello, as I said, my name is Frank Butler IV. I'm just really grateful for this opportunity and can't wait to see where the future takes me in this village with this organization. Thank you.
You're welcome. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Roll call for item 8, Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Galante?
Yes.
Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
Thank you. Next, we have item number 9. I'd like to ask the board for a motion to consider appointing William Newman to the position of radio technician.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
William has 20 years of experience in the public safety communications, overseeing network, radios, computers, mobile, modems, and fiber. He has overseen numerous communication upgrade projects, including a multi-million-dollar CAD upgrade. He has specialized knowledge and skills in dispatch CAD implementation, design, mod UCOM, console programming, and troubleshooting, microwave configuration and design, and VHF radio systems. I'd like to ask the board to consider appointing William to the position of radio technician, effective May 1st, 2023. William, would you like to say a couple words?
Mr. President, Board Trustees, Management Team, Interview Team, I'm honored and very excited to start this position. Looking forward to working for an excellent village and doing good for everybody that needs it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think Lisa Cordum's just as excited. If you look at the smile on her face behind you. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Roll call for item 9, Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Galante? Yes. Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
Thank you, that motion carries. Before we continue on to item number 10, I would just like to thank all the department heads and our HR department for all the work they have to put into the hiring. It's not like, you know, they look at a couple applications and then, you know, they offer them a job. There's a lot of screening, phone calls, discussions with the department heads. So thank you, Angela, and all the department heads that go through this on a constant basis with all the hirings within your departments. Thank you. Next, we have item number 10. May I have a motion to consider approval of the consent agenda items?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Thank you, Dennis. Consent agenda items have been publicly posted and available for review on the agenda for this meeting. Would anyone from the board like any of these items removed from the consent agenda? Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Roll call for item 10, Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Galante?
Yes.
Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
That motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Next, we have item number 11, Trustee Colleen Sullivan.
Thank you, Mayor. Consider adopting ordinance 2023-0-017, approving the annual budget of the Village of Tinley Park, Cook and Will Counties, Illinois, for the fiscal year ending April 30th, 2024. Can I get a motion?
So move. Motion.
Second.
You got it.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
The draft budget has been posted and available on the transparency portal of the village website since April 7th, 2023. As also required, a public hearing was held within 7 days of making the proposed budget available for public inspection on April 11th, 2023. The proposed total expenditure budget for the general fund is $66,076,210. The Tinley Park Public Library is also included in the overall village budget, and the proposed total expenditure budget for the library's general fund is $8,961,905. The proposed total expenditure budget of all village funds, including the Tinley Park Public Library, is $202,605,500, and this ordinance is eligible for adoption.
Thank you, Colleen. Any questions from the board? Any questions from the public? Madam Clerk, you please call the roll for item number 11.
Roll call for item 11, Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Galante?
Yes.
Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
That motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Next, we have item number 12, Trustee Sullivan.
Thank you again. Consider adopting Resolution 2023-R-040, authorizing transfers from the General Fund, Water and Sewer Operations and Maintenance Fund, and Commuter Parking Lot Operations and Maintenance Fund. Looking for a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Go ahead, Colleen.
The resolution establishes not to exceed amounts of the contemplated transfers of $15 million from the general fund, $5 million from the water and sewer funds, which include water retail, water wholesale, and sewer, and $1 million from the commuter parking lot fund. The actual dollar amount of the transfers will be determined once the fiscal year has closed and may be less than provided maximums. This resolution is eligible for adoption.
Thank you, Colleen. Any questions from the board? Any questions from the public? Madam Clerk, you please call the roll for item 12.
Roll call for item 12, Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Galante?
Yes.
Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
The motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Next, we have item number 13, Trustee Bill Brady.
Yes, I'd like to have the board consider adopting ordinance number 2023-018, establishing pay scales for the fiscal year ending April 30th, 2024.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Go ahead,
The
Bill.
ordinance establishes the pay scales for non-collectively bargained village employees during the current fiscal year beginning May 1st of 2023 and ending April 30th of 2024. The pay scales include a 3% market wage adjustment to non-collectively bargained position pay ranges effectively May 1st, 2023, and the positions have been updated accordingly in line with the fiscal year of 2024. Personnel budget approvals. The item has been discussed at the Committee of the Whole prior to this meeting. This ordinance is eligible for adoption.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? I just have one comment to make so everyone understands this clearly. It's not, they're not getting a 3% market wage adjustment. All that's doing is moving the range scale for each position in column B. The wage increases are based on, reviews from the department heads, which takes place July 1st, right? Thank you. Any questions from the public? No. Madam Clerk, please call the roll for item 13.
Roll call for item 13, Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Galante? Yes. Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
The motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Next, we have item number 14. Trustee Michael Mueller.
I move we consider adopting ordinance number 2023-0-009, amending the Tinley Park Municipal Code regarding bond requirements for contractors.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mike.
Thank you, Mr. Brady. The proposed ordinance will amend the municipal code to remove the residential surety bond requirement for contractor licensing purposes. This item was reviewed before the Committee of the Whole held on February 7th, 2023, and is eligible for adoption tonight.
What kind of bond?
Surety.
Thank you.
Surety.
Surety.
Any questions from the board?
I do.
Go ahead.
I have some reservations about this one, still. I know we discussed this a little bit in February. At the time, I know Bill Brennan did as well, and then Paul was, you had some, I believe you said some reservations, and it was noted in the minutes. And then in this meeting packet, it says that Paul was okay with it, so I'd like to know what changed with that. I just have a hard time just eliminating that bond. It just sounds like it's just more of a, it's like a heavy clerical project to take care of, but I kind of like the idea of having that in place for the residents. So I just have some reservations about it, so I'm just open for discussions, or if Dan has anything
Plans.
further to say about it. I know I did read in the packet that you said you haven't had to pull a bond in 10 years, but I'm wondering, we haven't had to pull a bond because they know that the bond is in place, maybe? I don't know. So I just had some reservations about eliminating that. That's all.
Sure. I don't want to speak for Paul, but.
No, but I mean, if you're going to go first, and I'm just looking for my email, but I'll
Okay.
in a second.
Yeah, so it's been at least 10 years, but it's looking like we've never actually pulled one of these. And we don't really threaten it either. We've never really had to get to that point. Really, there's a lot of other routes we could go to make sure if a contractor is doing work, if they do it incorrectly, that we can go. And we've never really, again, never had to go past that point. With that in mind, we also would typically a bond company is not gonna hand you the money, even if we're in the right. So we typically have to sue them to get the bond money anyways. At that point, the best route is probably us just going after the contractor directly at that point. Again, I don't expect that would ever even have to happen. It never has at this point, but that's kind of a better route to go. If we wanted to stick up for a resident, we still always have that option. Plus, we're still maintaining bonds for projects overall, so I know previously, Trustee Brennan had brought up like 2008, 2009. That's kind of where those overall project bonds, where we make sure actual projects get completed, are important. I think we learned a lot from 2008, 2009, but we didn't have to pull any contractor bonds, because if a contractor doesn't get paid, that bond's not really gonna apply in that situation, because they're not really the contractor on the job. So it doesn't cover contractual conflicts, it doesn't cover if a contractor doesn't get paid, they don't finish the work. There's a lot of things where the bond's really, it's a perception that it really protects the residents, but in reality, it's just kind of an added step that doesn't really do that. So that's why that's kind of been, we have a lot of other routes we could go that I think are more effective than what a bond is.
Thank you.
Colleen and I went back, I think when we first met, when it came before the cow, I had not seen the memo, or that was been prepared, and Dan provided it for me. And Bill raised, when we were at the dais, I went back and Dan provided me the memo, I went back to the analysis, and there is no legal barrier to what we're doing tonight.
Okay.
To take the bond away, to eliminate the surety bond, right? So, there is some risk, but it's, in our opinion, was, not a lot of risk, right? So that was our analysis.
Okay, thank you. I was just curious of the legality part of it, so I appreciate that.
I just like to add, so, quick question, I mean, if someone walks away from a job and they don't have a handrail up, we'll just say, that's obviously, a safety issue, a code issue, that's something we could go after, even though they didn't finish the job, but it does imply a safety issue, correct? I mean,
At that point, we would still be going after, like, let's say the general contractor, if there was one, or the property owner, like, it would still have to come into compliance. Now, if the contractor had been paid and just completely walked off the job and just didn't do work they were paid for, that's where that kind of becomes sometimes a contractual issue. If it didn't meet the code, again, we could pull that contractor's license, we could go after them directly. But if we go try and pull that bond for that contractor, what pretty much I've seen most towns is the bond company, even if you're 100% in the right, they're gonna fight it till the end. They're not gonna just hand you money to go put up a handrail anyways. So but again, never has even gotten to that point. So we've always been able to work with contractors in our community that do still have to get licensed, do still have to have insurance on the books. We've never had it to that point where a contractor has been paid and just completely walked off a site. but
Yeah.
it's still a requirement. Someone would have to get that done to make sure it was, if the public was going on the site, so.
Well, I would just argue that
But
even just because they have insurance doesn't mean the insurance company's gonna pay. I mean, the insurance company's gonna pay if they have, an insurance company's not going to pay if they just don't complete a job, is my point. What I would say is if they were licensed to do a carpentry project, for example, and they didn't do it correctly, the insurance company's, gonna look at that and say, this is your trade, you know what you're doing. Whereas, a bond would say, hey, you didn't put this up, or you folded, the company folded, where at least gives the resident a little bit of recourse. I guess that's just my, like Colleen said, that's my only concern, is that it's something to fall back on, so.
It typically would be like, okay, the way you'd picture it normally would be like, okay, you can just pretty easily pull the money, go give it to the resident and say, go hire another contractor, finish out the job, it was incomplete. But that's not even how that ends up going. If that does have to happen, there's usually gonna be months or a year in between there anyway, and you still have to get it done, right? So somebody's still usually having to upfront the money on those projects while we go try and chase a bond down from the bonding company.
Yeah.
So each case could be a little different, right? It'd be up to our attorneys. They'd probably put some pressure if we were really in the right to be able to try and expedite it. But again, we've just never even had to get to that point because you already have to be a reputable contractor usually to get licensed, bonded, or licensed and have insurance and come here to the village and do the work. So we've never really had anybody just outright say, I'm not gonna do something according to building code. They'd be putting their entire business at risk at that point. So we've just never really had to get to that point. So we're basically insuring for something that has never happened, and I think we have a lot of other ways to kind of go about it to make sure we can protect the residents still going forward.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I'll just say, from my perspective, this just comes down to use versus the cost to the village. And in this case, I think the costs far outweigh how many times we've used this process as a tool to go after uncompleted projects. And so, from my perspective, it's fairly simple cost-benefit analysis. Like, if we're not gonna use this tool, why do we have to administer this tool? And it's an expensive tool to administer. So I'm all for this ordinance and looking forward to getting it.
Thank you, Mike. Anyone else have any comments? Before we move on, after any, Bill or Mueller, Trustee Mueller spoke, do you have anything you want to add, Paul?
No.
Okay, thank you. Anyone from the public have any comments? Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll for item 14?
Roll call for item 14, Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
No.
Trustee Galante?
No.
Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
No.
President Glatz?
Yes. The motion carries 4-3. Thank you, everyone. Next, we have item number 15. Trustee Mueller.
At this time, I will make a motion to consider ordinance 2023-0-016, granted a special use for a substantial deviation at Olympus Drive and Apollo Court, Odyssey Club, Phase 7.
I will second.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Colleen. The Plan Commission originally held a public hearing on November 17, 2022, but was remanded back to the village board when issues with covenants were realized. Follow-up public hearing was held on April 6, 2023, and the Plan Commission voted 5-2 to recommend approval of the special use in accordance with the listed plans and recommended conditions and findings of fact in the staff report. The two dissenting votes noted that their no votes were due to unresolved issues with the Umbrella Association and the petitioner's disagreement with the recommended conditions that would require them to resolve the issue prior to issuing of building occupancy. Run-on sentences and hard words today. This ordinance is eligible for first reading today. And as I understand it, just prior to the start of the committee of the whole meeting, so around 6 PM, we did receive a draft, it's a draft agreement, Pat?
Certainly, yes. Hi, my name is Michael Pasquinelli. I am one of the...
You want to go to the microphone?
I'm sorry.
Mike?
Thanks, Mike.
Good evening. My name is Michael Pasquinelli. I am one of the village attorneys that's employed with the law firm of Peterson, Johnson, and Murray. Approximately 5:33 this evening, we did receive a copy of a cost-sharing agreement. That's the agreement between the developer, or a proposed agreement between the developer, who's the petitioner here, and the Umbrella Association. Within that agreement, that's where the petitioner and the Umbrella Association are going to agree that the petitioner is going to contribute monetary fees, monies, towards the maintenance costs for the shared common elements that were identified by the developer and the petitioner and the village during this whole process. It's not finalized yet. The parties, I'm getting communications on my iPhone right now showing emails going back and forth between the attorneys. It's not finalized at this point, but there's been no indication given to me as one of the village attorneys that there's going to be any issues or holdups or hangups from any of the parties involved here. So that's all I have to say at this point. Does anybody have any questions with respect to that?
So your recommendation was to have a first reading tonight, let's keep working, and bring it to the village board on May 2nd for its adoption.
Yes, Trustee Mueller, that's correct, yes.
Okay.
Thank you. That's what I was just
Thank
going to suggest. So normally for first reading, we don't open it up to the public. I think this is very important to the Odyssey residents and to the developer, the Helikius family. As you heard from Attorney Pasquinelli, they're working on a cost-sharing agreement. I would like to do things a little different for first reading, just so we have everything on the table. If there's a concern that a resident has that they haven't been able to be heard, maybe the attorneys would want to hear what they have to say in case there's something that we're unaware of. I would like to open it up for comment for anyone that lives in Odyssey that may want to bring any comments to the table that they feel may help their association, their neighborhood, or the Helikius family, if there's anything that they would like to comment as well. Instead of just voting on it, proving it, sending it, waiting for the attorneys to approve it, and then bring it to the next meeting, I think it's better to get all the information that both parties can now, and then it'll make it easier for everyone to work from there. So I'm going to do, and there's a 6-minute public comment. I'm going to open it up to the floor to anyone that would like to speak in regarding item number 15. Would anyone from the public care to speak on this item?
All right. Good evening, Board. Lene Bryant on behalf of the Umbrella Association. We did work on the cost-sharing agreement diligently, albeit we didn't get it in until, the attorney didn't get it over until today. And so I doubt seriously that the developer has had time to adequately review it at this time. We think it's fair. We took a great amount of time in coming up with the terms of the agreement. We think that it's fair, and we're hoping that we can work it out. Now, I, being new to this entire process here in Tinley Park, as well as the board, do not know how you proceed with regard to whether or not you go forward. I know that it was voted 5-2 to approve the variance for the zoning. However, I think that there was also a part 2, which I need clarification on with regard to occupancy certificates being issued, and that this cost-sharing agreement is directly in line with the issuance of those occupancy certificates, because what it is that, of course, as occupants do move into the development, the costs increase. So that's why it was so very important for us to get this done. So we are looking looking to get an agreement between the parties. We're hoping that it's fair and that the developer will go ahead and sign it, and then we can all move forward on the process. The developer can get going on whatever he needs to do. I understand the building can continue going on anyway. So it's just a matter of these occupancy certificates, which we're not trying to hold up unreasonably at all. We just want to make sure that as these occupants do come into the development, that we are compensated accordingly and fairly with that. So if that adds any insight to what we're looking to do, we're hoping that you will allow us to get the agreement signed before the occupancy certificate issue is completely resolved. Again, not trying to hold up any development or any building or anything like that. We just want to make sure that we're compensated fairly because we do have costs and fairly everything's increased, as you know that. Inflation has gone, through the roof, and so we have costs as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else like to address the board from Odyssey? Mr. Halikius, anything you'd like to add? Anthony.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm Anthony DeAngelis, representing the petitioner Intercontinental Real Estate and Development regarding Odyssey Club Phase 7. Let me just be very clear. We proposed the cost-sharing agreement back in January, and it's been our intent from day one to work this out. It's just kind of interesting that the revisions or the comments came at 5:30 today before the village board meeting. So it's been our intent all along to get this resolved. We have no intention of not working cooperatively with the Umbrella Association and taking care of our pro rata share of the costs for Phase 7. Our only issue has been that tying it to occupancy is problematic from our ability to get financing. So even though there's been no issues or objections to our amendment to the plans, the revised site plan, everything else that goes along with this approval, putting a condition of occupancy, of the cost sharing being done before occupancy is just doesn't let us get started technically. So we're hopeful that I haven't had a chance to review the agreement or the comments, I should say, that we can get this, resolved within the next 2 weeks before we come back to you guys. I think that's the best case scenario at this point, but just given the history of what's taken to get to this point. But I just want you guys to be aware that it's never been our intent to not cooperate. It's just that it's a technical matter. When you're going to get financing for a $40 million project, the bank doesn't like to look at the fact that you could have built all this stuff, and if you don't have this agreement, you can't get occupancy. I'm just wanting you guys to understand that that's kind of our dilemma. So that was the only reason why we objected to tying that to occupancy. We are very hopeful that that's not going to happen tomorrow, obviously, but that we should get this agreement resolved in a timely manner. But it still creates a problem for us as far as moving forward with the project. That's all.
Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, Anthony. Would anyone else from the public care to comment on this before we move forward? Thank you, Anthony, for your comments, and I'm glad that everyone's finally at the table. Yes, unfortunately, it's taken a while since January it started. At least you guys are a lot further along than you were. Before we move on, would Dan or Mr. Pasquinelli like to add anything else for the board after hearing the comments from Anthony?
Just briefly, Mr. Mayor. Michael Pasquinelli again, one of the village attorneys with Peterson, Johnson, and Murray. Mr. DeAngelis is correct. I mean, his attorneys have been in communication with myself and also the Umbrella Association's attorney quite regularly. Since my involvement and Mr. O'Grady's involvement in this particular issue since February of 2023, there's scores of emails, correspondence and communications, telephone calls that were made from the developer's attorney to myself and also to try to make contact with the Umbrella Association. At no time did Mr. DeAngelis or Mr. Halikius or the developer in any way, shape, or form ever say they weren't going to pay anything. To the contrary, they wanted to pay it. They wanted to pay their fair share. So we, as the village, and with Mr. Ritter, we got involved in the middle of it just to try to push both parties to get together to try to make this cost-sharing agreement come to fruition. And it's close to being done.
How about the CO?
I'm sorry, sir?
How about the occupancy?
The occupancy was a condition that was placed on post-approval. So unlike a condition that you have a condition prior to getting the amendment, the PUD amendment, this is a condition that comes after the approval. So it's a post-approval condition, which simply tied the developer to continuing his good faith efforts at reaching and making this final agreement, in reaching this final agreement to the issuance of occupancies. And that's what was put forth.
And that was kind of it was my recommendation on that condition, because it was the condition that allows this project to move forward, for us to give them approval, and kind of the furthest date. We basically needed something to tie them to getting it done. And it's kind of the furthest date we could do that the umbrella association wouldn't have any additional expenses on them. But once they get occupancy, that's kind of when, okay, you have residents living there, they're using the roads, they're using the gatehouses, the landscaping, whatever else. That's when the cost increased, so that's why we kind of chose that. It was a way to keep this moving forward while still ensuring it got resolved, so.
Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry, if I may, Mr. Mayor?
Thank you, Dan. Yes, go ahead.
Yes, sir. The post-amendment condition of the occupancies will be moot. It will not be necessary once this agreement is finalized. So within 2 weeks, as everything's moving in that direction, the developer and also the Umbrella Association execute this agreement. The condition as it stands that was presented before the board, that condition will be moot. It will not be necessary anymore.
Okay.
And if for some reason we're still working on it, we're open to different wording as well. I think Michael, as well as their attorney, have been, if we need to, I'm open to other wording that attorneys can come up with that say this functions and protects the village, protects the residents. So we're even open to, if for some reason it doesn't get resolved in the next 2 weeks, to some alternative wording that maybe works better for the developer as well.
Okay, thank you. The only thing I ask is, Pat, if there's any finalization on the contract that you receive prior to the next board meeting, can you just get it to the board, please, so they can address that? Unfortunately, you're only allowed to speak once.
Oh.
If you want to wait until public comment at the end, feel free.
It won't be necessary, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And you can, if you have questions or something, feel free to reach out to me.
Thank you. Mr. Pasquinelli as well.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Mr. Helikius.
Just wanted to make sure that we clarify the issue at hand. As was mentioned by Anthony DeAngelis, we have every intention on working this cost-sharing arrangement out. We've been pursuing it. We developed an agreement. We've been pursuing it from the beginning of the year. Unfortunately, the condition of making occupancy subject to this agreement being put in place kills any opportunity to get financing. So a bank looking at this will see that unless an agreement is reached with the Umbrella Association, the occupancy will not be granted. No bank is going to offer financing to get the construction going without that agreement being done. So if occupancy is going to be conditioned on this agreement, I'm dead in the water as far as financing is concerned. I can't get financing, okay? So as long as this issue is out there being unresolved as far as cost sharing, I can't get occupancy. So if we're talking about I can't get financing as long as that condition is out there. So we can say that we could get building, we could get construction going, we could get everything else until we get this issue resolved. And Attorney Pasquinelli is spot on. If we can get this resolved before the next hearing, great. We're off to the races. But if we can't get it resolved by the next hearing, and it's still conditional upon occupancy, I can't get financing, I can't get started. So it's the chicken and the egg. We want to get it resolved, but if the negotiations get us to the next hearing and it's still conditional for occupancy, I can't get financing. So we just keep on pushing it out until we get this thing resolved. And we've been trying to get it resolved since the beginning of the year. So I just want to make sure that we're all clear on the fact that we're between a rock and a hard place as far as moving it forward. And when Mr. Ritter says we're trying to move it forward, this condition doesn't move it forward. It puts it squarely stuck in the mud. So I just want to make sure everybody's clear on the situation that I'm in. I want to get it resolved. I want to get this cost-sharing arrangement. We've been throwing out different options on how to get it resolved. We haven't gotten it resolved yet. We're hoping that it's resolved sooner than later, but if it's conditional upon occupancy, I can't get started. I can't get started at all. Financing will prevent me from moving forward, regardless. So,
Over the next 2 weeks, if you could just keep working with Mr. Pasquinelli and Mr. Ritter, that'd be much appreciated. Any comments or questions from the board? Nope. Again?
I'm sure there'll be a few.
Sorry?
I'm sure there'll be a few.
Like I said, ask everyone to please just, it's just first reading, ask everyone to, regardless, just push this along and let the developer and the Umbrella Association and the attorneys and Mr. Ritter work on finalizing this. It'd be much appreciated. Then you can have an opportunity, if you're against it, to vote it down first meeting in May. Madam Clerk, you please call the roll.
Roll call for item 15, Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Galante?
Yes.
Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
That motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for coming tonight. Next, we have item number 16, Trustee Brennan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to make a motion to consider adopting ordinance 2023-0-019, amending sections 129F.08 and 129F.11 of Title 11, Chapter 129F of the Tinley Park Municipal Code, Residential Rental License, otherwise known as our crime-free housing.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Go ahead, Bill.
Thank you, Trustee Mueller. With this amendment, the word eviction has been changed to abatement. This allows the landlord more options to abate a nuisance or criminal conduct on a case-by-case basis. The word eviction is changed to abatement in the body of the ordinance and in the crime-free lease addendum. This ordinance is eligible for adoption.
Thank you, Bill. Any comments from the board? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Roll call for item 16, Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Galante?
Yes.
Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
The motion carries. Item number 17, Trustee Mahoney.
Thank you. Please consider adopting resolution number 2023-R-033, approving a contract between the Village of Tinley Park and Summer Landscape for landscape bed maintenance.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Go ahead, Dennis.
Thanks. Consider awarding a contract to Summer Landscape in the amount of $165,895. This item was discussed at the Committee of the Whole meeting held previous to this meeting. This resolution is eligible for adoption.
Any questions from the board? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Roll call for item 17, Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Galante?
Yes.
Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
The motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Next, we have item number 18, Trustee Mahoney.
Thank you. Please consider adopting Resolution 2023-R-034, approving a contract between the Village of Tinley Park and Iroquois Paving Corporation for the Pavement Management Program Resurfacing Project.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Thank you. Go ahead, Dennis.
Thanks. Consider awarding a contract to Iroquois Paving Corporation in the amount of $4,027,065.10 plus $934.90 contingency amount. This item was discussed at the Committee of the Whole meeting held previous to this meeting. This resolution is eligible for adoption.
Thank you, Dennis. Any comments from the board? Comments from the public? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Roll call for item 18, Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Galante? Yes. Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 19, Trustee Mahoney.
Thank you. Please consider adopting Resolution 2023-R-035, approving a contract between the Village of Tinley Park and Davis Concrete Construction Company for the sidewalk flat work and curb program.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second?
Thank you. Go ahead, Dennis.
Thanks. Consider awarding a contract to Davis Concrete Construction Company in the amount of $190,650 plus $9,350 contingency. This item was discussed at the Committee of the Whole meeting held previous to this meeting. This resolution is eligible for adoption.
Any comments from the board? Any from the public? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Roll call for item 19, Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Galante? Yes. Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
That motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Next, we have item 20, Trustee Mahoney.
Thank you. Please consider adopting Resolution 2023-R-036, approving a contract between the Village of Tinley Park and City Escape Garden and Design, LLC, for landscape planters and beautification.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second?
Go ahead, Dennis.
Thanks. Public Works is recommending approval of a contract of City Escape Garden and Design, LLC, for landscape planters and beautification. Consider awarding a contract to City Escape Garden and Design, LLC, in the amount of $222,173.06. This item was discussed at the Committee of the Whole meeting held previous to this meeting. This resolution is eligible for adoption.
Thank you, Dennis. Any questions from the board? Any from the public? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Roll call for item 20, Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Galante? Yes. Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
The motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Item 21, Trustee Dennis Mahoney.
Thank you. Please consider adopting Resolution 2023-R-037, approving a contract between the Village of Tinley Park and Stantec, Inc. for stormwater area maintenance.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Thank you. Go ahead, Dennis.
Thank you. Consider awarding a contract to Stantec, Inc. in the amount of $189,500 for stormwater area maintenance. This item was discussed at the Committee of the Whole meeting held previous to this meeting. This resolution is eligible for adoption.
Thanks, Dennis. Any questions from the board? The public? Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Roll call for item 21, Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Galante? Yes. Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
The motion carries. Thank you. Item 22, Trustee Dennis Mahoney.
Thank you. Please consider adopting Resolution 2023-R-039, approving a contract between the Village of Tinley Park and McGill Construction, LLC, for Oak Park Avenue sidewalk improvements.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Go ahead, Dennis.
Please consider awarding a contract to McGill Construction, LLC, in the amount of $739,374.65. This item was discussed at the Committee of the Whole meeting, which was held previous to this meeting. This resolution is eligible for adoption.
Thank you, Dennis. Any questions from the board? Any questions from the public? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Roll call for item 22, Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Galante? Yes. Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
That motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Next, we have item number 23. I would like to ask the board for a motion to consider a proclamation recognizing the Honorable Diane Galante for 4 years of service to the village trustee and the Village of Tinley Park.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it. Thank you. Recognizing Honorable Diane Galante, whereas the Honorable Diane M. Galante and her husband Joe have been residents of Tinley Park for 27 years, have 2 adult children, Juliana, and Joseph. And whereas Trustee Galante graduated from the University of Illinois at Chicago with a bachelor's degree in accounting and has spent 30 years working in Frankfurt for one of the largest automotive suppliers in the world. And whereas Trustee Galante was elected to the Village Board of Tinley Park in April of 2019, where she served as chairperson to the Marketing Committee and most recently chairperson to the Budget Committee. She has also served on Finance and Community Development Committees and most recently the Economic Development Committee. And whereas Trustee Galante participated in both the Citizens Police and Citizens Fire Academies and is an active member of the Citizens Police Academy Alumni Association. Whereas during Trustee Galante's tenure on the village board, she advocated for Oak Park Avenue Playbook, which supports Oak Park Avenue businesses. Additionally, she has spent a part of Tinley Park focused on marketing initiative that promotes the Tinley Park Life Amplified brand as a tourism entity inclusive of the village's convention center, hotels, attractions, restaurants, breweries, and hospitality-supported businesses. And now therefore be it proclaimed on behalf of over 57,000 resident or citizens of Tinley Park that the Village Board of the Village of Tinley Park join her family and friends in recognizing Diane Galante for her 4 years of dedicated service to the great village of Tinley Park, approved this 18th day of April 2023, signed by myself, Mayor Michael Glotz, Village President, tested by Village Clerk Nancy O'Connor. The board had your proclamation, Diane, framed. If we could give it to you down below, it'd be great if everyone could come down there.
Maybe go over the other side. Just see if I can- Yeah, balance it out just a little bit more, thank you.
Come on, you need some handsome on that side.
Hold on one second. Got it, thank you very much.
Diane, would you like to say anything, or?
Just thank you very much. It's been truly an honor to serve my community. Everything I, hoped to get it done, unfortunately, I couldn't. But really, nothing changes for me. For the last 2 years, I've been kind of on my own, obviously, and I love our community. I'm going to continue to be a very active member in what I'm doing today. So really, nothing changes, except I'll be back at the mic asking questions instead of sitting up here. So I look forward to seeing everybody around town, just like I've been doing for the last 27 years. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else on the board care to comment?
I'd just like to say thanks to Diane for your service. This is not an easy job by any means. It's a lot of stress, a lot of decisions that really impact a lot of people. So, I know you've given it a lot, and I appreciate that. So thanks for what you've given to Tinley Park.
I'd like to add that, Diane, you said you're going to be around, so on and so forth. That's great, because I may give you a call if we ever get it off the ground to be a trolley driver.
There you go.
And I'll just echo what Mr. Brennan had said. This is not an easy job, and one of the hardest parts is that you miss time with your family to really advocate for residents. I know that was always very, very important to you. So thank you, Diane, and wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Next round.
I'd like to add something too?
Sure, go ahead.
So I just want to thank Diane for, the 4 years that you have served. I know when you first started, public safety was top priority. That's why I voted for you. I think you should be proud how we expanded our police force. I think the community, with Bill Brennan kind of taking the, helping out with that, I think that's a big thing. And I think that some of the projects that we had, the fire department, I think you were start to finish on that. So that's quite an accomplishment. Also, I was reading a list of businesses. It was from the business breakfast brochure a couple, I think last year or something, and it listed all the businesses that have opened in Tinley in the past couple years. And you really don't realize how many businesses till you read it and how many there are. And you had a part of that, and there is quite remarkable under the circumstances that you served. Part of it is COVID and the economic, situation that we're in and the economy right now. So that's another accomplishment. And then future projects that, you have your footprint on. Harmony Square is going to be a huge asset to the community for years to come. And, I look forward to seeing you there. I think you should be a part of that when, it opens, because you were there from day one with the shovel in the dirt. And I think, you have your positive footprint, and I appreciate the time you've served, and I hope the community appreciates the time, because it isn't easy. I know we have adult children now, so it's easier for us. I don't know how any of you guys with little kids do this, with kids in sports. I don't know. I honestly don't know. And we all have full-time jobs, so it is a big commitment that we make. Sometimes we're rushing here after work to try to get here on time. Bill Brady's got about 10 jobs, so I don't know how he does it. But just want you to know, I do appreciate it. I sincerely wish you the best, and I'm sure I'll see you around at future events in Tinley. So thank you.
Thank you.
I'd just like to say, thank you for your 4 years of service, and I wish you well moving forward.
Next, we have item number 24, receive comments from staff. Anyone from staff like to comment?
Yeah, again, I would just like to thank the finance department and staff for getting the budget together. Again, it was a monumental challenge to get everything together, and we did it. Short on some personnel, and Dave and Brandy leading it. Brandy just getting here in the last few months also, and Dave less than a year, or just over a year. And then all the staff that assisted with that. So great job, and looking forward to great things for fiscal year '24.
Thank you. Now we have a new mascot. Tinley's Parks. Next, anyone else? Go ahead, Chief.
Thanks. Just a reminder to all our citizens, the Citizens Fire Academy will be kicking off August 21st, running every Monday through September 25th. We encourage all residents, and as some of our board members have sat through the academy, encourage them to sign up by April 28th. They can go to the village website and sign up for that. They will learn some firefighter techniques, CPR, and some public education, along with some other real-life events. So, thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
I highly recommend it. It was a great class. I learned a lot.
Anyone else? Nope.
Just can I add to that? Both of the classes I would highly recommend for citizens and all board members, staff. I mean, I learned so much from that class. It definitely changed probably the way I would vote on things that came before us. How much time it takes for a fire response to your house compared to sprinklers, and how important those sprinklers really are. I thank you guys for taking the time to put all that on, both the fire and the police department. It's huge, and hopefully it's a free class, and it's really amazing, everything you learn. You even get to borrow, you get to wear the hat and get a coat to borrow during the class, which a lot of us thought was the coolest thing ever. But highly would recommend it for everybody involved. Thank you for doing it. That's all.
Next, we have item number 25, receive comments from the board. Would anyone from the board care to comment?
I do.
Go ahead, Mr. Brady.
Tagging on to what Mrs. Galante just said, Ms. O'Connor just said, absolutely go to the academy. As Diane said, both academies, police and fire. The fireman is coming up right now, so get out there. You'll learn a lot. It's a lot of fun. You have great opportunities to learn what they do and how they do it, as a matter of fact. and it just touches probably 1/2 of 1% of what these men and women actually learn. So I was the very first class to do it, and highly recommend it, as already mentioned, to anybody to get out there and try it. There's only, Chief, how many spots do we have?
I believe 25.
25
And there's
is the
still some
max.
availability, so yes.
Yeah, so sign up right away and get it done. Second thing, I'd like to remind everybody that if any of you are boaters, the Department of Conservation for the DNR is having a boating safety class at the library, Tinley Park Library, on the 29th and 30th. You must attend both days. It is required. Anybody born after 1980 has to take this course. Children age 12 cannot drive the boat without this course, and I hope to see you there. I will be your instructor there on Saturday and Sunday. Sign up at the library. Not the library, I'm sorry, the Park District. That's it.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I'll have something to say.
Go ahead, Colleen.
All right, I just want to, our Veterans Commission typically they did handle they called it the Flags Over the Capitol program, where a family member could get a flag, it flies over the Capitol, then it comes to the Village Hall, flies over on our pole here. There's a lot of moving parts to it, a little bit difficult for them to handle. So I just want to thank Kristen Therion for taking that on and off their plate. I know they're very appreciative of that, and it was just conversations between me, the Veterans Commission, Kristen. It was turned over really quick, and it's already on the website. It was like within 2 days of hers taking it on that. So I think it'd be Anthony to thank for having it on the website. So if anyone is interested in that program, they go on the village website. I believe you go to government, commissions, and then veterans, and then it's towards the bottom where you can find information about the Veterans Banner Program, the Paver Brick Program that's been in place, and now the American Flags Honor Veterans Program. So thanks to Kristen and whoever put that on the website, and to the Veterans Commission for graciously handing that over to Kristen to make things easier. So that's it for me. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? I would just like to congratulate the board, Clerk Nancy O'Connor, being elected to clerk again. You worked extremely hard, very proud of you. Happy to be on the board with you, great job. And then Trustee Mueller and Bill Brennan, congratulations again on being reelected. And then our newly board member, Mr. Ken Shaw. Congratulations, Ken. We will be seeing you up here in May. The board hasn't decided yet where you're gonna sit, so you get the short straw. But thank you very much, and we got a new mascot too. And then I would also like to say hello to Mason from Bannis School, who watches every single one of our board meetings. He's in 4th grade.
Wow.
Mason believes that as a citizen of Tinley Park, it's his duty to watch the meetings and understand what's being said and done in his village of Tinley Park. So I'm very proud and thankful to Mason that we have a 4th grader that is watching everything that you guys are doing up here and staff, so.
We'll save a seat for him.
Yep. So you guys better keep doing what you're doing because Mason's watching.
Fair enough.
With that, we will move on to item number 26, receive comments from the public. Would anyone from the public care to comment? Then let the record reflect there are none. Next, we have item 27. Pat, is there anything for executive session? Okay. I would like to ask the board to adjourn to executive session to discuss the following. A, litigation when an action against, affecting, or on behalf of the particular public body has been filed and is pending before a court or an administrative tribunal, or when the public body finds that an action is probable or imminent, in which case the basis for the findings shall be recorded and entered into the minutes of the closed meeting.
So moved.
I'll second it. I'm sorry, Colin.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Galante?
Yes.
Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
That motion carries. We are adjourned, and we will not be returning back. So thank you, everyone.